So Frank, 3 days on from Fury Wilder 3. And what's the reaction now the dust has settled?
Well, I've got to tell you, I don't know how Tyson or Deontay feel, but I know it exhausted me. It was like it was for me the most exciting heavyweight fight I've ever seen live.
I was going to say, because after the second fight, we have a quote of you in the dressing room saying this is the best I've ever seen. Does this one top the second one for you? Where does it stand?
I thought the second fight that was a great performance by Tyson. In the other guy's backyard, he went. He was there, and it was a phenomenal performance by him. Very dominant and did what he had to do. This one, Deontay obviously went back to the drawing board. He got a new trainer on board in Malik Scott, and they got their tactics right for the early part of the fight, and it was just an enthralling fight. The way Tyson. Well, first of all, Wilder going down, and then Tyson going down twice in round 4, and then it was like, well, I mean, the crowd, they were going crazy, and if you'd had some Brits there as well, could you imagine how it would have been? The atmosphere would have been like a million times better, and it was fabulous anyway. But it was such an engaging fight, such a brutal fight, at times it got technical. Tyson, everything was there, the heart. They bared their souls in the ring, the pair of them, and give us an epic fight.
Well, how were you feeling when Fury went down? Did you think he was truly in trouble at that point?
He got caught with a good shot, and he got up. He's very clever, Tyson. He's got a great chin. He does hold. He takes a shot well. He got himself up and composed himself. But when he went down the second time, I thought, oh, hang on a minute. And then you think to yourself, he goes down once more and it's all over, because it would have been, referee would have called it off. But he just sort of gets his composure back and he recovers very quickly. And obviously the next round he was back on top. But my heart was in my mouth. There's no doubt about that.
So yeah, you said about them that both boxers putting in a gladiatorial effort on the evening. Post fight, there was a lot of conversation saying, a lot more respect needs to be put on Wilder's name. But after the way that he reacted post fight to Fury's offer of a handshake and a well done, mate, and the seemingly some excuses still coming out there, where do you stand at the moment with Wilder?
It's disappointing. It reminded me. It reminds me of Ali and Frazier. How Frazier was to Ali. He never forgive him for some of the things that he called him in the press conferences. Just never forgave him. Never liked him. I remember I brought Frazier, Ali, and Foreman over. They came over and I hosted them at London Arena in the 90s, and even then, the feeling, the animosity that Frazier had to Ali was still there. And it seems it's that way with Deontay, and I think a lot of it probably stems from the press conferences. Tyson, he's very quick-witted, as we know. He's funny. He's got a good, he plays mind games with guys, and I think he just got to Deontay Wilder so much. Got in his head, as Tyson said, he was living rent-free in his head for 2 years, and that's how it's been. And it's just a shame that that even the second fight, the ridiculous excuses he came out with, and the third fight, he was in an epic fight. He played his part in that fight. He was there. They will remember that. Those names will be spoken in awe if you're a boxing fan, and he shouldn't, he should acknowledge that the part he played in that fight. There had to be a winner. And it was Tyson, but he played his part, and and I felt he should have afterwards. He should have shook Tyson's hands. I mean, Tyson was magnanimous enough to go over and see how he was, and and sort of basically say, "Well done, mate. We did something a bit special here between us," but he was having none of it.
So, following the past month of the heavyweight, the great heavyweight fights that we've had, and where does the landscape look now? Who's your top 5 heavyweights in the world right now?
I put Tyson obviously number 1, head and shoulders above all of them. He's a magnificent champion, and he's up there with all of them all the eras, respective eras. He's there. He stands with them. I'll be a bit biased. I've obviously, we promote and we're involved with Joe Joyce, who's the WBO #1, and we're also involved with Daniel Dubois, who's the #1 in the WBA. Then you've got Usyk. So I would think, we see what he did with Anthony Joshua, and then you've got Dillian White. So if you want to put them in order, Tyson #1, Usyk #2, and I think the other three, they're all you can call them all joint three, as far as I see it, because that's what it is. I don't think a Dillian White's got the beating of the other two guys at all. In fact, he was offered to fight. We made offers for him to fight them, which he didn't take. So that's how I see it. And Anthony Joshua, I think he probably comes in about #6 now. You've got to look at these two guys. I look and think of what would have happened if Anthony Joshua, for example, had a boxed Wilder on Saturday night. Who would you had your money on? I would have backed Wilder all day long with the performance that he put in. And the other guys, Joe's a very capable fighter, tough guy, massive heart, walks forward. He's got to be there, as I say. And I think with Daniel Dubois, he's a wrecking machine. He's got a fantastic jab. He looked good his last fight. They loved him over in America when we took him there. And obviously, Dillian White's in there, and I think a Dillian White's fight against Derek Chisora, the two fights he had, there was nothing in those fights. And then I think what Tyson did with Derek Chisora, he took him to school. Derek never won a second of any rounds when he fought him. So that for me is probably how it looks at the moment. The good thing about it, out of those 5, 4 of them are British.
Yeah, it's a great landscape and an amazing division. So for Tyson, what does he do next? Is it Usyk, AJ2, and he takes the winner there? And does he take Dillian White if he gets through Otto Wallin?
Well, first of all, he's going to have a rest. He's been in constant training all through the COVID lockdown and so forth, and then he had the arbitration problem. Then he caught COVID himself, so he's been in constant training. He needs a bit of a break. His body needs to recharge, and he's back home. And I think we'll give it a couple of weeks, and then we'll sit down and he'll make his decision what he wants to do. He's the guy who's in the driving seat, and it'll be his decision. Who he wants to fight and where he wants to fight.